when we talk about machine learning systems, like the core constraint is like they are trained for one specific task. Like one machine learning model is good in solving one particular problem. So they are trained for one specific task, and they operate within a fixed problem definition. Like whatever patterns you will teach it, it is applicable for that only. If any input you give it which is way away from that pattern, then it will start giving wrong answers. So machine learning systems, they are trained for one specific task. They operate within a fixed problem definition, and they assume the task will not change, which is actually not applicable also, because the real world is very uncertain. So machine learning models, it it assumes that okay, these are the patterns and these patterns will be forever, but it does not happen. For example, if we talk about COVID-19, COVID-19 was a very big shift. The pandemic, it was a reset. So before pre pandemic era, whatever the patterns were, after COVID-19, most of the patterns they changed. So the machine learning models trained before COVID-19, they became obsolete. They became useless after COVID-19, after pandemic, post pandemic. They started giving wrong answers because the patterns they got changed. And that's a very big constraint. So now we are getting a feel of traditional machine learning systems, machine learning models. They are task specific. They're trained for a specific task. They operate within a fixed problem definition, and they assume that task will not change. But that is not true. So machine learning systems, models, they cannot adapt with time. They cannot automatically adapt. Whatever we have trained, it has got some learning. Now it can answer based on that knowledge. So in machine learning systems, we train the system, so we impart some knowledge. Now that knowledge can become absolute because we are evolving. So machine learning systems cannot adapt over time. So let us look at one example to get more clear understanding. So I have an input text and I have a sentiment classifier. Now this sentiment classifier, what it does is that it will analyze the text and it will classify whether that text is like a positive, neutral, or negative. Now, this sentiment classifier, when we trained it, it's a fixed model because it has got some patterns, it has learned some patterns, and the knowledge is fixed. So it always classifies sentiment. So based on the input text, it will always classify the sentiment. Like it will tell whether the input text is a positive or negative. So the output label will be positive or negative. Now, this sentiment classifier, it can only do the prediction. It cannot act on the results. It cannot decide what to do with the result. And it cannot add new knowledge, or it cannot redefine its objective. No self-correction. So the key limitation of machine learning models, it's very much clear that machine learning models do what they are trained to do, nothing more. So whatever you train them to do, they will do that. They lack agency and adaptability. Like they cannot act on their own and they cannot adapt. The knowledge is fixed. So this is very, very clear that okay, machine learning models, they are task specific. Whatever training you give the patterns they learn, they can do that. They can do the predictions in that fixed domain, nothing more. They cannot adapt. Their knowledge cannot evolve over time, and they cannot act. So they lack agency and adaptability.